Hey guys, and welcome to this week's episode of... It is an episode? Should I call it that?
Yeah, it works as an episode. Cody and Rainbow Talk.
Cody and Rainbow Talk.
Hi, I'm Cody, she's Rainbow. We're about to talk.
To you. This week we are going to be talking about our parenting style.
And philosophies.
Philosophy. What we do.
You know.
I guess you could say we fall under the umbrella term attachment parenting or peaceful parenting, gentle parenting. We're kind of in that zone. So I guess the best way to do this would be kind of to give examples of some things
that works.
We do in a way.
Yeah.
So for example, basically our philosophy of parenting is treating our kids with as much respect and kindness as we treat each other.
Or would want to be treated by
others.
Or
would want to be treated by others, or ourselves.
Yeah.
So we basically just follow the idea that our kids are people too, and they deserve as much respect as we
do.
As a people would. Like, we don't treat them like people. They are not our little minions.
Yeah.
And we don't control them. They are their own person with their own personality, their own individual likes, dislikes, styles, everything, and we just want to try and embrace
foster it
and let it grow and blossom. We don't want our kids' relationship to be any different than any other relationships that we have. Any relationships we have with our friends, with our other family, in the sense that, like, just because they're smaller doesn't mean they deserve anything less than we would give.
I'm not going to force my friend to go to sleep because it's
exactly.
past his bedtime.
If I wouldn't do it to Cody, I'm not going to do it to my kid.
I mean, I put you to bed sometimes past your bedtime, but you know.
Well, and this, of course, there's obvious things we do that is for our kids' well-being that, you know, they're too
like
young.
If it's like 11 o'clock, she can go to bed, but if it's like...
if
she wants to stay up another half hour later than like her normal bedtime, it's like, yeah, alright.
And when it comes to things like where she just doesn't have the judgment yet, or like our kids don't have the judgment yet because they're too young, that's when, instead of like, this is what you're doing and that's that, we really like to try and explain why, because...
Explain the situation so they can make a little bit more of an educated decision.
We try
if it's like, but I want to touch the stove. And we're like, no, you can't touch the stove, it's hot. But I still want to touch the stove. They're not going to touch the stove, I'm going to stop them.
Yeah.
But if they want to go, like, I don't know, like drink out of a water bottle they found like laying around at the park. And they're like, but why can't I drink this? And explain, like, we don't know where that came from. It could be gross, it could be this or that. It's like,
and we're really honest about it. We don't fluff it up. We don't sugarcoat it. Like, obviously, we don't.
If you get very sick, you could, like, you know, the realities of the situation.
We basically just try to set our kids up, give our kids as much information as we can for them to make their own informed decision, because the whole thing that we try to do is try, instead of controlling and dictating things for them, we're trying to make them have smarts behind every decision they make to set them up for future success.
Strong, independent people.
Yeah. So we could go on about stuff like that for a long time, but just to kind of, I don't know, put it into, I guess, a little bit more perspective. Like, things we don't do is, we don't do timeouts. We don't really believe in timeouts for us personally. And of course, disclaimer, this is for our family, this is what works for us.
Yeah.
You do you, we do we. We do we. We do us.
Yeah, we do we.
We do we.
Yeah, absolutely. But, like, we don't do timeouts, we try our hardest not to ever raise our voices, or...
And that's a big thing, is we try and be as humble as we can in parenting. It's so important for us to make our kids realize that we are human, and that just because we're bigger or older doesn't mean we're perfect or that we don't make mistakes. So if we do raise our voice, after we're cooled down, sometimes we'll remove ourselves from the situation, cool down, and go back to Mackenzie and be like, you know, we are sorry, that was wrong of us, and like, if we do something wrong, we admit it, and we apologize for it, and we explain, like, you know what, Mom's not perfect, Dad's not perfect, I'm sorry, let's work on this to make sure it doesn't happen again, you know, let's brainstorm some things together to make sure, or to help this not happen again, or what could we do better next time?
Yeah, we tried. Another thing is like, I like to try to emulate as much as I can proper like social interactions. Like, if it's like a little thing where it's like you didn't clean up your toys, I'm not gonna get angry and raise my voice, because later in her life I don't want her to get angry at a barista at Starbucks because he ruined his order, because for her whole life little silly things she's like seen how they've like affected people so negatively, where it's like,
Yeah.
why haven't you cleaned up your effing toy? It's like, Kenzie, can you clean it up? Alright, I'll do it, whatever.
Yeah, well, that's kind of our thing too, is like, we try not to impose unrealistic expectations on our kids for them being a kid.
Yeah.
Like, she is 3 years old. She can't be expected to clean up all of her toys. We buy the toys, we put them in our home, if we want a clean house, we will clean it. I mean, she
helps. She does
helps.
lots. If we ask her to clean, she'll mostly do it. But like, there's some times where she'll say, "Guys, I'm tired" or whatever, and it's like, it's no big deal. Like, when you're a kid, you just like it's not worth the.
We really trying to instill
effort.
A lot of empathy in our kids.
Yeah.
Like, just to be empathetic of other people around them, and so that when she sees us cleaning, she'll go, "Oh, do you need some help?" Or if we say, "Hey, we could really use some help over here," she's almost always more than willing to help. Just because we practice gentle parenting or whatever you want to call it does not mean that we are pushovers or super lenient or just let our kids get away with anything.
Yeah.
We may not force our kids to do things, but we definitely have boundaries and limits that we set and we are firm by. Like, we stick to them. If that's your limit, then that's your limit, but here's all your freedom, just under here, you know?
Yeah. Like, one of the ways we try to get her to do things that we want, we don't tell her, do this or consequences. We try
natural
to
consequences.
Positively encourage it, natural consequences.
So if she leaves her toy out
and I'm about to vacuum or something and say, like, Mackenzie, if you don't clean this up, it might get vacuumed.
It might get sucked up the vacuum.
That's what might happen. That's the natural consequence. I don't tell her, I am going to vacuum up your toy if you do not clean it up.
And we don't just go and vacuum up her toys because she left them on the floor.
A lot of it has to do with the wording, too. Where instead of saying, like, I will do this, like, this could happen if you're not careful. So it just kind of helps.
And it's just taking a second ourselves as a parent to just collect our thoughts.
Yeah.
And before we react, because everybody has the 3 seconds before you react. Like, it doesn't need to happen right away. So, we can sit her down and be like, "Oh, you know what? It looks like you forgot that we have this rule in our house that we follow. And would you like me to help you follow through with it or something?"
Yeah.
Or if something happens, be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that this happened." And I don't know. Sometimes there are times where she will get something taken away because she chose not to listen, or she chose not to, like, say she was whipping books at the dogs or something.
Yeah.
And the gentle method we used didn't work, or she didn't listen to it, then it would maybe get taken away. But then we sit down after and be like, "I'm really sorry," and we empathize. Like, "I'm really sorry your book got taken away. Like, that feels really sucky when our stuff gets taken away.
But the reason it happened is because of this.
Yeah, and let's go through some things to make sure
avoid it in the future.
To avoid it in the future. And it's just kind of the method we go across. Yep. That definitely does not mean we're perfect.
No.
We screw up a lot. But again,
it's easy to lose your patience and raise your voice or do something that you might regret in 10 minutes because of something silly as, like, ow, I stepped on a Lego block, which are basically like the worst things in the world to step on.
Oh, the Legos are going away!
And then you step on one and you're hurt and you're mad and you're like, "Oh, you didn't clean up your toys," but then you just gotta take a second and be like, it's a Lego block, it doesn't matter that much, I don't care, my foot will not hurt in like 3 days because it's a Lego block and it's the worst goddamn thing in the world. But like, it'll go away.
The point is, we just apologize and move on. We don't hold on guilt to what happened. We talk about it, we say sorry, let's do better tomorrow. Let's do better right now. And we just move on.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then she's learning also that, you know, she doesn't have to be perfect. There's no expectations for her to be awesome all the time. She can make a mistake and apologize for it and move on with her life.
She can forget to clean up her toys, or forget to do like a thing we asked her to do. We'll say like, oh, Kenzie forgot this thing, and there might be a natural consequence to it, or we might just say like, can you just remember to do it later, or do it now instead, or do it tomorrow?
Or hey, this isn't and we have to remember like, for her being 3, picking up that toy right now is not a priority for her. So sometimes we have to really like be like, okay, do I need this picked up right now?
If it's so important, you can probably just do it yourself.
Yeah, and if it's not, then we can come up with a compromise. If I really feel like she should be the one to pick up that or whatever, then we can be like, okay, how about, like, you don't have to pick it up right now on my time, but let's talk about when we do pick it up. Do you want to read the story first and then we pick it up, or,
Or finish building your castle and then pick that up, or like whatever the situation is. Like, there's ways around confrontation.
You don't want to...
You just have to find them. You have to be more creative than just getting angry.
Yeah, like, for example, I don't want to go to bed, so okay. Or like, I don't want to go brush my teeth and stuff. Well, would you like to brush your teeth first, or put on pajamas first, or read a story first? You choose the order we do things in.
Yeah,
giving her some control.
A lot of options help, where it's like, Kenzie, alright, it's time to go to bed. No, I don't want to go to bed. Alright, well, would you rather brush your teeth first, put your pajamas on first? Do you want a snack? Do you want this?
Or would you rather get ready now and read a story, or stay up and play a little bit longer and not have a story tonight?
Because that 5-minute difference of when she would be freaking out because she doesn't want to go to bed.
Yeah. This is the bedtime, or this is the whatever time that needs to happen, but you get to choose how you spend the time, as long as the things that need to happen.
Because if you say like, oh yeah, you can stay up for like an extra 5 minutes and play and then go to bed, versus if you say, no, you have to go to bed right now, she might spend that exact same amount of time freaking out.
And you're just wasting time anyway.
Yeah.
And then you have an unhappy kid, an unhappy bedtime, and both of you go to sleep or end your night feeling stressed.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for your kids to end their day
on as positive a note as possible.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it sucks. Like, I don't know. Just
nobody likes going to bed angry.
No. A lot of our parenting is also based on natural consequences, like we mentioned. I think that's because we can try and drill in as much as we want. We could enforce as much as we want, but when she's her own person, she's gonna have to know that her actions will have natural consequences, because she doesn't have anybody breathing down her neck telling her what to do.
When she's an adult and she doesn't lock her car at night, nobody's gonna be there. Well, I mean, somebody might be there to take it. But nobody's going to be there to be like, you didn't do this thing, I'm taking this away from you for a day now, because you didn't get this done. That doesn't happen in your adult life.
Yeah.
So why instill that belief in, like, their young life?
Mm-hmm. But like with anything, we're making sure that our kids are always safe, and within reason is always the underlying thing. Like, if she climbs the tree, we're not going to be like, oh, well, if she falls out and breaks her arm, that's the natural consequence. We're going to try and make sure she doesn't fall out and break her arm. But, like, we're not going to let her, oh, look at her.
We'll make a compromise where if she wants to climb the tree, say, Mackenzie, can you climb it safely? If she says, yeah, I think so, well, then maybe I'm going to go stand under the tree and be ready to catch her. I'm not just going to stand there and be like, we'll see how it happens. It's like, there's things you can do in every situation to compromise between the two of you. Mm-hmm. That's another thing where...
And instead of saying, no, you can't climb that tree, how about, okay, you can try and climb the tree, but only climb to this height, because you could fall and break your arm. Like, if you just stop and think, you don't have to always control everything, because we try and keep into perspective so much that is her life.
Yeah.
Like, she might be part of an enormous part of our life, but that is her own life. That has nothing to do with us. And just like we all have our individual lives, we need to let her have that now, so that when she is done living with us, or she's independent from us, she's not like, well, I guess I have my own life now. This is new. Yeah. We really want our kids to be just overwhelmed with so much love, and just to know that, to build their confidence now, so that when they're confronted with things in their life that will knock their confidence, that hopefully they'll be able to recover a little better than maybe somebody who, like, I mean, I had self-confidence issues when I was a teenager because of, reasons. But we just try and, like, just always let her know that she is so loved and so wanted and so special and unique, and she has interesting talents, and we just really try and like feed on all the things she's good at, and instead of just being like, oh yeah, you're great at like, oh, you colored a picture, oh, that is the best picture I've ever seen, just be like, oh, like, I love the colors you used, that was creative.
Like, you don't have to exaggerate and be silly about it either.
No,
Yeah,
be
like,
honest and like try and find things you like. And so, like, for example, when we compliment her, we try and, because it's really easy to compliment little girls on how they look all the time, so we just try and compliment her on like other things as well, or first be like, you know, you're so smart and funny, or like, I love when you tell your jokes, it makes me laugh, and then of course you're also so beautiful. But and even subtle things too, like instead of like, oh, you know, that dress looks great on you, or something like you look great in that dress, or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just making it about them instead of the materialistic bluff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the gist of everything we do, parenting.
As well as
like
we can put it into words at least, because it's such a...
And there's so many little tiny nitpicky things in there that you could talk about it forever. So
you can kind of, like, the way that parenting is, like, the way to describe it, you can kind of contradict yourselves and sound silly even though you don't mean to, like, as well as we can put it into words, like we did.
Yeah. We hope that gave you an idea of, I guess, what we do, but hopefully it did. I think it did. I hope so.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Okay, so thanks for watching today's video, and if you guys have anything you ever want us to talk about, because in these videos we talk about anything. These are when the kids are in bed videos, so anything is game. We just talk about stuff. So you can check out our other videos that we've done so far, and if you have anything you want us to do, let us know in the comments below, or you can always hit me up on Instagram or something like that. But we will see you guys next week. Bye.